Hello, good morning everybody, and welcome to the video. Today's date is, I'll just go to the corner, I'd like to show the date, so I'll just enlarge it there. You can see it's Friday the 10th day of April in 2026, and it's around 9:25 in the morning. So I'll just resize that. So in this article, I want to talk about the downfall of the high street bookmaker, and in particular, two bookmakers, Betfred and William Hill. And as you can see here, I have a copy of the Racing Post online, and this headline, I'll just scroll up to give you the date when this was written. So I'll just scroll up here, and you can see this article was written, again I'll just enlarge that there. So this was published on the 29th of January 2023. So over 3 years ago. Last updated the same date, there we go, 2023. So just over 3 years ago this was published. So I've got now go back. Adjust the screen. So the article here, punters barred from betting shops after failing to meet affordability demands. So that's the article. So we'll read into this article a bit more and see exactly what it says. Punters are increasingly finding themselves denied entrance to betting shops if failing to provide bookmakers with detailed personal financial information, shining further light on the growing reach of intrusive affordability and source of funds checks. Online gamblers have increasingly faced requests from bookmakers under pressure from the industry regulator, the Gambling Commission, for personal documents such as payslips and bank statements to allow them to continue betting with accounts closed or heavily restricted if these requests are denied. However, I'll just scroll back up a bit. However, bettors placing wagers in retail outlets are also being hit with demands for proof they can afford to bet, while one betting shop employee spoken to by the Racing Post said staff were under increased pressure over the past 12 months to seek information from their customers. Requests for identification and financial documentation to continue betting resulted in Michelle Wills, yes that's me, being stopped from betting in her local branch at Betfred, she has claimed, after she was unable and unwilling to provide the information. So again I've just scrolled up. I'll just scroll that up. So this is talking about me in this happened in November 2022. In a letter to the Racing Post, she said, "I'm 58 years old and have enjoyed gambling all of my life, my adult life. On entry to my local betting shop in December, I was given an envelope from a member of staff and was shocked to discover a letter from Betfred stating, Dear customer. The letter said that I was not allowed to gamble in any Betfred shops in the UK until I provided photo identification, namely a passport or driving licence. Unfortunately, I have never had a driving licence and my passport expired over 20 years ago. In addition to this, the company wanted 3 months' worth of bank statements and a source of funds. After careful consideration, I decided not to send my personal information, and therefore I've been unable to gamble in Betfred shops. I've lived in Dawlish since 2006 and I'm well known to the staff in the shop, but I now have to travel to another town to gamble. So, a minute goes on talking about other betting customers' experiences. So, why am I showing you this? William Hill Bookmakers have just announced they are closing over 200 stores from around the UK. What they're doing is they are blaming the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, for increasing betting levy, betting tax, however you want to call it. I'm not sure of the details. I believe it's not on horse racing, but it's, I believe, on the FOBTs machines and also online gambling. And I think it's doubled from around 20% to 40% or something like that. I have to say the actual figures aren't important, but basically the liabilities, the tax liabilities, have doubled, and that's why they are closing 200 plus of their shops. I live in Dawlish, and the nearest shops, William Hill shops to me, are Teignmouth, which is about 2 miles away, and Newton Abbot, which is about 10 miles away. Both those shops are on the list to close. They'll be closing on the 24th of May 2026, so about 6 weeks away. So, why are they closing? As I say, they're using this excuse of the betting levy tax, and I think it's an excuse, and I don't believe it. And if you go back to my Betfred experience, November, December 2022, and I received that letter, which is stated in this article. Affordability checks. Now, the recent Post have done another article, which I'll try and find and bring it up for you. So luckily, the piece I was looking for is actually on the side of this letter I've just read to you. Here we go. So, more in. New affordability campaign launched. A survey reveals 2/3 of punters would be unwilling to provide documents to continue betting. So therefore, I was quoted by a Betfred, a senior manager at Betfred, that 7 out of 10, 70% of they reckon footfall. And what Betfred's policy was, I don't know what the policy is with William Hill or Ladbrokes or Corals or whoever. I can only talk about Betfred's policy. But what Betfred's policy was, it was following a fine, a massive fine from the owners of William Hill and other brands. I'll try and find that article for you. So I found the article. So no, it's not that bike or that shoe. It says here, and I'll just raise it. William Hill fined 19.2 million by UK Gambling Commission, or regulator, same person, for widespread failures. This article, again I'll enlarge the screen so you can see it quite clearly. This article was written on Tuesday the 28th of March 2023 at 9:41. So let's have a delve into this. You can see this on there. suspending William Hill's licence was considered by the gambling regulator, so the UK Gambling Commission. They almost lost their licence over this. Then we have the chief of the Gambling Commission, I believe he's resigned, or Andrew Rhodes is resigning from the UK Gambling Commission. So we'll just read a bit into this. So again, I'll have to narrow the screen again so hope you can see this. British gambling company William Hill have been hit by a record 19.2 million fine by the UK gambling regulator. So we are, £19.2 million. And basically what it says is that I'll just try and find out the failures identified by the regulator in the latest fine. So we've been fined before, William Hill. It's not the first time. That's why they almost lost their licence. It was a continuous pattern. Included allowing a customer to open a new account and spend £23,000 in 20 minutes, all without any checks. Another social responsibility failure identified was failing to conduct any checks and allowing a different customer to open an account and spend £18,000 in 24 hours. Now, obviously, that is totally unacceptable. Checks should have been done, and I'm all for checks being done. So here I have a letter, as you can see, from William Hill. The date of the letter is the 5th of January 2026. I received it, obviously, a few days later, when I walked into the Shelburne shop in Bank Street in Newton Abbot. Got a reference number there. Request for identification. Dear customer, at William Hill, we want to make sure our customers are enjoying their gambling. An important part of this is ensuring that customers are spending within their means. In addition, there are some regulations that all bookmakers are required to follow. This means that when customers are spending at certain levels, we ask for some identification to confirm your name and address. You have now reached this level. We recognise that this can feel intrusive and want to assure you that all information is kept secure and safe. Unfortunately, until we receive this information and have reviewed it, we are unable to continue to accept your business in shops or via any online accounts you hold with us. We appreciate that this may be frustrating, but hope you understand it is a reflection of just how much we care about you as a customer. I know people are probably laughing at that. I certainly did. If you have any questions, then please contact blah blah blah, or the rest of it. We require one form of identification. So I'll repeat that. We require one form of identification. Some examples of a type of identification we accept are below. Please do get in touch if you would like some help. So, identification documents. Passport and proof of address, such as a bank statement or utility bill. Driving license, national ID/citizen card, and proof of address, such as a bank statement or utility bill. A minute just goes on to say about how you can send these documents to William Hill. And on the back of the letter it just says, different ways. I'll show you. I'll turn it over. There you are. See, you can visit any shop and just basically telling me how to contact them, how to upload the documents they require. What I find interesting about this ridiculous letter is this paragraph here. We require one form of identification. Not 2, not 3, not 6, not 10. One form of identification. Some examples of a type of identification we accept are below. Please do get in touch if you would like some help. So ID documents. They want a passport and proof of address, such as a bank statement or utility bill. Now, I was quite good at maths at school. It was my strongest subject. And of course, 40 plus years of gambling, working out fractions, working out your bets, working out how much you would return if you had £10 on a winning horse at 11-8, working out how much you would get back. 40 years of experience, So, we require one form of identification, passport and proof of address, such as bank statement or utility bill. To me, that's 2. Passport 1, proof of address 2, either a bank statement or utility bill, a driving license, or national ID card and proof of address, such as a bank statement or utility bill. There we have it. That's the crux of the matter, bank statement. So they want one form of identification, as I say. So a national ID, citizen's card, and proof of address. So that's, again, 2 forms of identification. So what I did following receiving this letter in the Newton Abbot shop of William Hill, I spoke to the manager. Lovely lady, I won't say her name, and she explained what forms of ID I needed. So what I did was I sent my birth certificate, my full birth certificate, has my mother's maiden name, has my father's name on it. It's what we call a full birth certificate, which I provided. I provided a utility bill, and also, being a transgender female, I provided a deed signed by a solicitor of change of name. Obviously, I'm now Michelle, and I provided all that information. And utility bill I provided, and I provided my tenancy agreement, proof of address, which is, it's quite so easy. All you've got to do is just look at the electoral roll. Quite simple, isn't it? You can look at that online. When you're thinking of a I was going to say possibly multi-billion-pound turnover company, can't even look at the electoral roll to see someone is living at such a just is beyond me. I just don't get it. But anyway, the ID I sent was rejected. Yes, so don't forget, one form of identification. So I sent my utility bill, I sent my proof of address, a birth certificate, name change, deed poll name change. So what they then wrote back and said was they wanted photo ID. Nowhere here does it say, apart from passport and proof of address, such as bank statement or utility bill, driving license, nowhere in this letter it says one form of identification. So this is where it gets really interesting. Now, they want my passport and my driving license. I don't have a passport. My passport expired in the year 2000, I believe it was. So long ago, I can't remember. So I don't have a passport. I don't have a driving license. And I told William Hill I didn't have these documents. They don't exist. The driving license has never existed. and they got back to me. This is all by the old, emails to and fro, and you send them an email, you wait 2 or 3 days, then you get a response, so this, takes forever. And now we're at stalemate. William Hill are saying that they will not allow me to use their shops to be a customer until I provide them documents that don't exist. How bizarre, how pathetic is that? So, earlier on this week, yesterday in fact, I contacted William Hill because this letter, as you can see, is dated the 5th of January. I believe it was on or around the 10th of January that I was given this letter. And if you go back to the last summer, the summer of 2025, between June and July, I placed a number of bets on football matches. Or to be more precise, I did a series of bets. And we're talking bets over a 2-month period, so June and July, so when there's no domestic football. And the bets total for William Hill around £3,500 in total. So, for example, I did one bet that springs to mind. I did a lucky 15. I did Sheffield United to win the championship. That went well. I done Bolton Wanderers to win League One. I done Notts County to win League Two, and I did Southend United to win the National League. And I did a £10 each way lucky 15 bet on that. At cost of £300. I also did individually £100 each way singles on those 4 teams. Now, obviously Sheffield United bets down, the Southend United bets down, but I also did a number of other bets, such as, for example, I done the same teams to finish, I believe, in a championship. Sheffield United to finish in the top 6, which they won't. I done Bolton to finish in the top 6 of League One, which they will do. It was almost guaranteed. I done Notts County in League Two, which is guaranteed, but I think 3rd or 4th in the league. And they're way ahead of, and that's the top 7 in League Two. And in the National League, I done Southend, and they are, I checked yesterday, 500 to 1 on to finish in the top 7. So I think 3 out of 4 of my teams. And what I've done is, I've done in stages, so it wasn't all at once. I've done a £20 lucky 15 on those bets. So those, the reason I'm telling you about my individual bets, those are just some of the types of the bets. So therefore, obviously, placing those bets in June and July, I cannot, obviously, they last for nearly a year. So the football season ends at the beginning of May. I think the last fixtures are the 3rd or 4th of May for the domestic season, bar the Premier League, of course. But one particular bet I did, and this was just before Christmas, and this bet was, I put £100 on Worthing to win the National League South at 5-2. I also did a bet on York City to win the National League at 7-4. And I did £100 on each of those, and I done a £50 double for York City and Worthing. As of making this video, Worthing are top of the National League South on goal difference, with 3 matches to play, and York City are 2 points clear of Rochdale in second place, with 3 games to play. Rochdale are currently priced, York are currently priced with William Hill at 100 to 30 on, and my bet is 5 to 2 against. So 100 to 30 on, and they Worthing are even money with William Hill. So 130 on and even money. So a lot shorter. Both are top of the league with 3 matches to go. The problem I saw from a gambling perspective is that they obviously may not win the league. It's not over till it's over. You don't lift the trophy until you've won the league, and York City and Worthing have not won anything at this stage. But my sort of, as a gambler, I thought to myself, because either York City or Rochdale are going to win the National League. I think York got over 100 points, and Rochdale have got, I think, 99 points. And they're about 20 odd points clear of the rest of the pack with 3 matches to go. So those 2 will finish in the first 4. York being 100 to 30 on favourites. But the dilemma I have is that the last match of the season, I think it's the 25th of April, so just over 2 weeks' time, Rochdale's final fixture is home to, yeah, you guessed it, York City. And there is a pretty high chance that, looking at the fixtures, again, nothing's guaranteed in gambling. We all know that. There's shocks in gambling all the time. I mean, I know the other day, I don't know where it was, but there was a horse that won at, was it the joint highest odds ever, 300 to 1. So shocks happen, But the final fixtures in the National League, Rochdale are at home to York City. So therefore, I was looking at my options. Do I just let it be? If it came in, the bet, it would be £1,100 roughly. Or do I cash in, bet in running, or do I put a wager on Rochdale to win the league? They're currently 5 to 2 at William Hill and most bookmakers. So what were my options? So yesterday I rang William Hill and I asked them what the betting in running price would be. So if I could cash my ticket in today, what would you give me? Bearing in mind, if it comes in, it's £1,100. They offered me just over £700 cash in. So then I explained to the customer services person, who I was speaking to on the phone, that I was banned because of this affordability nonsense, and I said, how can I cash in my bets? If I want to do a in running, oh yes, that's fine, that won't be a problem, but you can't go into a shop. And what they advised me to do is to send them a photo of the bet, with obviously the number of the bet at the bottom. You have a barcode and about 20 digits and letters mixture of at the bottom. That's how give them that. That's how they knew. It was just around £700 in running. So I sent them a photo of the bets, and in addition, this is where it's absolutely ridiculous. In addition to that, I send them proof of ID in order to cash out my in-running bet. And the proof of ID they want is either a driver license or passport. So I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, I don't know what I'm going to do with the bet. I'll probably just let it run. But I have over £3,000 worth of bets, and as I say, I've got the £20 each way. Top 6, top 7 finish, depending which league. Which are all or free. Sheffield United have blown it, but I got over £500, guaranteed to pick up for that bet. And I've also backed at 14-1. I backed Dorking Wanderers to win the National League South. They were say 14-1. I got on that 14-1, and so I've got the potential to win between £2,000 and £3,000. Bolton Wanderers have got a chance, probably a 30% chance, I reckon, of finishing third in League One. And Notts County, they have I think they're about 11-8, something like that, to finish in the top 3 in League 2. So I've got a chance, so I've got £100 on each of those each way. So you're talking about I could win around £2,000 maximum, between £1,200 and £2,000. So how am I going to pick it up? I can't go into the shops. Indeed, there won't be any shops because they're closing. And this is the sorry state of affairs, and the stupid patheticness of the whole situation. What the Gambling Commission have advised I do, however, is wait until the season has finished. If William Hill refuse to honour the bets due to requesting documentation that doesn't exist, then the Gambling Commission will step in and get involved. So that's good news from the Gambling Commission. So there are options there. And indeed, William Hill have said, they'll honour the bets, and once the football season's over. So it's just being pettiness, just being awkward, just being petty, And so back to the, I sort of digressed a bit there, just showed my recent experience with William Hill. Go back to the main point of this video. And what we've done is, with William Hill receiving that massive, £19.4 million fine, and also losing a licence, bookies then, and with Betfred, I know because obviously I complained to Betfred, that I thought it was unfair, and I was not going to provide documentation. And as I've shown you earlier, 7 out of 10 people who will not. And I was told by a senior manager, who I don't know, this was over the telephone. They rang me, and they said that, off the record this was, that Betfred had been ordered by their powers that be, will say, to give the 10 biggest spenders the letter similar to what I do. So the top 10 in Dawlish, for example, and there's a Betfred in Newton Abbot, in Exeter. So all Betfred shops, all 1,400 of them, were told to give letters to the top 10 biggest spenders. So, and I showed you the statistics from a Racing Post. Roughly 7 out of 10 people will stick 2 fingers up. Well, I'm prepared to do that. And so obviously, I don't know the facts and figures. It's none of my business. The accounts of William Hill or of Betfred will say the one in Dawlish. But I imagine, and the senior manager I spoke to agreed when I put this point to her, that in what they were doing is, rather than, I'll give an example. Mr. A, this is a true story. Obviously, I'm not going to give his real name. I'm going to call him Mr. A. So Mr. A is a millionaire. This is a true story. Obviously, like I say, name change. A millionaire. He'll go in most days and he'll gamble anywhere between £300 and £500 a day in a bookmaker. Now, I would gamble, my limit was a maximum of £300 a day. I didn't go in every day, most days, or say 5 days out of 7. And I would never lose more than £1,000 a week. I used to keep a record, a separate account for my gambling account, and I never lost more than £10,000 in a year, in a calendar year. And yes, that's a lot of money. That only happened on one occasion. And so, therefore, if I once I'd lost, my limit was £1,000 a week. So if I lost £300 a day, £1,000 a week. If I lost £1,000 in 2 visits, or in 4 visits, then I'd wait a while, a week or so, and then start again. Like I say, only once did I lose I think it was October, so I didn't gamble until the following January. So, I use sense. I could only, you only gamble with money you can afford to lose. And I can afford to lose that money. So, and what we've done is, that 10 people from Betfred and Dawlish probably account for, I'm going to say, 90% of their profits. They're not going to make much profit in, and this is not being disrespectful to the punter who go in and do their 10p each way Yankee or 20p win lucky 15 bet. They're not going to cover all their expenses, I imagine. It's the big punters, the big gamblers, who obviously make these shops profitable, because nobody wins at gambling long term aside from a bookmaker. So the likes of William Hill now, who are closing 200 shops, as I say, I've mentioned a number in Devon closing on the 24th of May. And the reason, I believe, is that because the bookies were so scared after this William Hill nearly losing the licence, the likes of Betfred, if the Gambling Commission came knocking on their door, they can say, "Oh, look what we've done. We sent letters to all these people, 10 in each shop, 1,400 shops, it's a lot of customers, isn't it? And it's a lot of money to lose. Don't forget, the statistics say, Racing Post says, 7 out of 10 have told them to stick 2 fingers up there, you know what." So, it's like rocket science. All these 200 shops aren't closing for the taxation, in my opinion. I believe these 200 odd William Hill shops, and I know there will be Betfred shops, I know Paddy Power are rumoured to be closing every single shop. I think they have 57 shops, I was told. They're closing the lot. I know Ladbrokes and Corals are doing due diligence and what to do, but they're going to close several hundred shops as well. So it's the demise of the high street bookie. And it's, as I say, the Rachel Reeves business, the doubling of the betting tax, I think it's the final straw. It's not the whole picture. It's the final straw that has made them to close all these shops. It's not, like I say, it's not the reason. It's just 10% of the reason, we'll say. And like I say, they have the likes of Betfred and Ladbrokes. They've shot themselves in the foot. And the sad thing about it is, the thousands of people, of workers, are going to lose their livelihood. We live in very difficult times, a cost of living crisis. Petrol prices going through the roof, and inflation's going to rise. Because of events around the world, and we live in terrible times, and these people are going to be absolutely distraught, losing their livelihood. Some people work. I mean, a person, a manager in Abbott, she's been working since 1983, over 40 years service to William Hill. Yes, it's not going to affect her as much. She'll get a nice, severance package if they don't offer alternative employment, because of her she's highly experienced. So they may offer her something else within the business. I don't know. She doesn't know, but that's what she told me. But they're going to be probably over 10, between all the high street bookmakers, 10,000 plus redundancies. And it's saddening, it's shocking. And as I say, it's, in my opinion, and on speaking multiple times with the Gambling Commission, all they say they did was, at the beginning of 2024, so this was after the Betfred fiasco, legislation was brought in known as KYC. No, not KFC, not Kentucky Fried Chicken. Know Your Customer, it's called KYC, and therefore they wanted people to, when I say people, these bookmaking firms, the high street bookmakers, to know your customer, to get information about them, and to obviously keep an eye on them, which I have no objection to, not a problem. What I have an objection to is idiots like William Hill who are asking for documents that do not exist. That's my issue. That's my problem. And to what I think of William Hill is good riddance to bad rubbish. That's not the star. My experience in 40 plus years of gambling, I have had nothing but enjoyment, a wonderful experience. The staff have been fantastic, helpful. I can't, off the top of my head, think of one instance in over 40 years that I've had a massive disagreement in any bookmakers, William Hill, Betfred, Ladbrokes, whatever. So it's the people at the grassroots, the people in the shops. That's what I feel sad for. And William Hill, as far as I can say, can go to hell. It's just greed, just greed. And as I say, so I hope that's been informative to people. Just explaining my personal experience with not only William Hill, although that's what the headline is, which letter I have, the Betfred letter of 2022. That's good as talks about is in landfill somewhere, I imagine. So yeah, that's my experience with William Hill, the negativity, the ridiculous idiocracy of William Hill bookmakers. And I'll make a video to update you once football season's finished, to say whether I'm successful or not, or whether I have to go to court. Because what we don't understand is that when you place a bet, so you have £10 on a horse, for example, once that bookmaker accepts that bet, you create a contract, a legally binding contract. So therefore, if that horse wins, and you're entitled to, they have to honour that bet. It is a contract. A contract cannot be altered in law in any way, shape or form without the agreement of both parties, and it has to be in writing. So, for example, you couldn't alter a contract just by saying and agreeing verbally, because it's in writing. They've accepted your business. You have a receipt, a betting slip. They have a copy of that. That is the contract. Their contract is on the system, so the betting slip is on the system. The bet is on your person, is wherever you place your bets. And so therefore, if they don't pay, I would simply be suing them for breach of contract. So as I say, once again, thank you very much for watching this video. It's much appreciated, and please feel free to leave any comments in the comment section below. One last thing I'll say before the end of this video is that obviously the quality of the video is shocking. I don't have the capabilities to camera or video recorder. I'm not a video recorder or photographer. I'm literally holding, as you can see here, against my laptop this letter, and I obviously have a laptop switched on and reading comments from a racing post. Literally holding at my computer tablet. I get with this in view, and I always say in my videos, the quality is shocking of the actual video. It is the content within that video that is important, I believe. So again, thank you very much, and I look forward to reading your comments.